Hey, what's up everybody? Clifton here with CliftonWP. Welcome back to the channel. In this tutorial, we're going to be talking about a new feature that's coming to Kadence. It's in beta right now called Kadence Conversion. And what this tool does is it allows you to create pop-ups or slide-in banners or even fixed banners to your website. Now, I know it sounds very similar to what the Kadence Elements and the Modal block can do in Kadence Blocks Pro, but this is actually a little bit different. Because in the Elements version of this, or if you're using the Modal, there isn't a way to set up a exit intent like you would do with a typical pop-up, and there's actually no real way or built-in way for you to track the actual conversions. With the Kadence Conversions tool, you can now track the conversions, and you can also set up an exit intent pop-up and do some of the other cool things that pop-ups do with some of the other dedicated plugins that are created strictly for pop-ups. So Kadence has added this to their arsenal. It is in beta right now, so it isn't something that you want to use on a live site, but it's built up enough to where we can actually test this out and put it through the paces and see all the great things that we can do with it. So if you are ready for this tutorial and you want to learn about Kadence conversions and creating great pop-ups for your website, then let's go ahead and jump into the tutorial. Okay, so to get started, let's talk about the setup that we have here. So I'm using a theme from the Kadence starter templates. This is their events theme. And what I've done here is I've created a conversion pop-up from Kadence. That's this one right here. So this shows up on load. It has a countdown timer, a button, and some text. And when somebody clicks through to this, it will take them to the registration page where they can come here and see the cost of access to the events. And let's say they decide that they don't want to purchase this at this time and they go to move away. It creates what's called an exit intent pop-up. And that exit intent offers new pricing at a 10% discount from the pricing that they saw on the previous page. And then now they can go ahead and purchase at the discount, or they can click away from it and continue to browse the website. I'm also going to be showing you a different type of pop-up, which is more of a banner pop-up that slides in at the top of the website at a specified time. That will be shown later on as we're going through this tutorial. If you like to have the same exact setup in terms of a theme as I do, here's all you need to do. Just go ahead and install a fresh version of WordPress. Go to Appearance, go to Themes, click on Add New, do a search for the Kadence theme. This is a free theme, and it's one of the most feature-rich themes in the WordPress repository. Go ahead and install that. And then the next thing that you'll need to do is you can go into your plugins, and under your install plugins, click on Add New, do a search for Kadence Blocks. This will give you the Kadence Gutenberg blocks so that you can build out your pages. This is the one you want right here. Now, everything else after this install is going to be a pro access or pro bundle access only. So you will need the pro version of Kadence Blocks Pro and the pro version of the Kadence theme or the Kadence theme pro add-on to be able to follow along with this tutorial. So if you don't have that, go ahead and go to the Kadence website. And here in the Kadence website, you can see the bundles that they offer. I have a link in the description below that is an affiliate link, or you can go to the website directly and pick one of these up. I highly recommend, if you're going to get started with Kadence, at a minimum, get the full bundle, because the full bundle not only gives you access to Kadence Blocks Pro, Kadence Theme Pro, and the Pro Starter templates, but you get access to all of their plugins. And there are a host of awesome plugins that are contained in the Kadence Pro bundle. Now, the thing to keep in mind here is that the Kadence conversions was just added, I believe it was added just a few days ago, and it's still in beta, but you get a chance to be able to test out these beta plugins before they go live. So we are going to be testing it right now and putting it through the paces, and it's going to be awesome. I can tell you, I've already gone through it a few times, and it's going to be a really great add for Kadence. So once you get that, go ahead and upload that into your plugin stack here, and you will then have everything that you need to be able to follow along and create these awesome pop-ups that we're going to be creating right now. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right into Kadence conversions and talk about all the pop-ups and slide-ins that this contains and see what the difference is between the Kadence conversions and Kadence elements, which is another pro feature of the Kadence Pro theme add-on. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to grab a copy of Kadence Conversions. So just go to the Kadence website, click on your account, and click on Download Files. And under the Download Files, you'll see Kadence Conversions, and you go ahead and click here to download the plugin. And then you'll come to your install, click on Upload Plugin, choose File, and then go ahead and grab the Kadence Conversion, install it, and then go ahead and activate. So I've already activated it myself. And then the other thing that I want you to do is go to Appearance, click on Starter Templates. Again, if you don't have starter templates already installed, it is free. So just go to the plugins page, click on Add New. And if you do a search for Kadence Starter, you will see the Kadence Starter templates right here. So I already have that installed. So you're going to go there and then just go to under Appearance, Kadence Starter Templates. You're going to find any one of these will do. I'm using this specific one here. This events one is the one that we are using. So that's why we ended up with this right here. And this is an example of a conversion pop-up that we're going to be building. So let's go ahead and go back here. And when you install Kadence Conversions, you'll have a new menu item here in your WordPress dashboard called Conversions. Now, what does this actually do, and how is this different from our modal pop-up capability that we have in Kadence Blocks Pro? Well, the difference is that this is actually built specifically for conversions. And while this is in beta, I know they're probably going to be adding a few more features to this. But if you go to the dashboard for this, you will see right here that there is a dashboard that's measuring the performance of the pop-ups that we have on the site, right? So it's checking to see how many views did we get, right? And that's the blue line. And then the green line is how many people converted. And I'll explain more about this later, because essentially what this is tracking is how many people actually took the action that you're asking them to take on the pop-up that you've created, okay? Over here are the settings, and here it's already enabled for local analytics, which is what we just saw, but you can also integrate this with your Google Analytics event tracking. There's a Getting Started tab, which is where they're still preparing a video for this, but we're kind of jumping the gun ahead, and I'm bringing this to you already. So remember, this is in beta. It isn't live yet, but we're going to go ahead and explore it because it's actually built enough for us to explore. And then you have the change log where they'll be tracking all the differences. And you can see right here that it is a beta release. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these conversion items. Okay, so I'm going to go here to all items, and I've already been playing around with this. I'm going to go ahead and just disable all these, and we're going to start from the very beginning and build out our own conversion items. So I'm going to go here and click on Add New. And when you do that, you're going to be presented with a choice of conversion types. The first one is a pop-up. Second one is a slide-in, right? So we're familiar with pop-ups, which overlay the site. A slide-in comes in from a corner of the website, and then the banner can come in from the bottom, or it can come in from the top. So these are the options that you are presented with. Now, whichever option you choose initially, so let's say I chose pop-up, they already have some templates that have been created for you that you can use as a starting point, or you can just choose one that is completely blank. So you can see a lot of these are kind of like opt-ins or sale offerings and things like that. But we want to create one that's blank, because the reality of it is, with this tool, you can add anything that you want, and that's where the versatility comes from. You can add any block that you want and have that show up as a pop-up, and that's what we're going to be demonstrating here. Okay, so I'm going to click on Start with the blank one here. This is the pop-up version, and those of you who've played around with the modal block and Kadence Blocks Pro probably recognize this layout. But we're going to walk through everything that has to do with this conversion item. Okay, so when you first come up with it, it just has nothing, and it's ready for you to start populating with items. So let's just call this, we'll call this our 50% off, 50 off offer. Okay, and over here on the right, you'll have the conversion item, and you'll have the block itself. Okay, now it looks like there isn't anything there, but there is. What you want to do is open up this link tree so we can see what we're looking at, and right here, click on the conversion item. Once you click on that, you'll now see all the items and all the settings that apply to this entire item. And the entire item is everything that you see here in gray, including this that you see here in the white. So let's go ahead and close that out. So let's just go ahead and walk through every one of the tabs so we become familiar with them. The first thing that you see here are the launch triggers. Now with the launch triggers, this is basically asking you, how do you want this pop-up to launch? The options are time delay, exit intent, scroll distance, end of content, on load, and using a custom link. So quite a bit of options here. Time delay just means that you're going to set up a time where you want this to, when you want it to show up. So by default here, this is set at 5 seconds or 5,000 milliseconds. Okay, but you can change the amount that you want. You can make it 3 seconds if you want. Okay. The other option is exit intent. And if you're familiar with this, this is where when you visit a website and you go to exit the website or you go to close the tab, a pop-up shows up and makes you an offer. So now you'll be able to do that here with the Kadence conversion tool. Second one is the scroll distance. And what this means is when you start scrolling up and down on the website, how far down do you want this to scroll before the pop-up shows up? Then we have end of content, which is where you're taking this and you're putting it at the end of the content of the page, or on load, which means as soon as the page loads, then you want to be able to see the pop-up, right? So this is something like this here. As soon as the page loaded, the pop-up is now showing up. So once you select on load, that's exactly what's going to happen. And then custom link means if you're going to add this link, if you want this to be linked to a button or a link on the page, then you would need to include this in the HTML of that link. And I'll show you how to be able to do that so that you can create a trigger where you can click on it and have the pop-up show up. Okay. Next is conversion settings. So with the conversion settings, we did that initially, right? We chose the pop-up option, but if you wanted to change, if you change your mind and you want it to be a slide in instead or a banner, then you can go ahead and select any one of these and it becomes a slide in or a banner, which kind of looks like that, right? And depending on which one you choose, you do have different options, right? So if I chose a pop-up, then there are options for the pop-up. For instance, the position settings will be different. If I choose a slide in, then there are some other settings here that may be different, right? So right now it's on the center, but I may want this to be on the left and I might want it to be on the bottom like that. So it's sliding in, okay? And let's put this back to where it was. And then if I chose a banner, for instance, I might want the banner to be at the top of the page, or I might want it to be at the bottom of the page, or I may choose to just have it in the middle. Okay, it's entirely up to you. For this example, we're going to show a pop-up. We'll go through all these other ones a little bit later. All right, next we have the repeat control. So here you're telling it whether or not you want this to continue to repeat every time someone comes to the site. So that may be annoying to some people. So what you can do is you can set up a cookie and just have the cookie expire in 30 days. And what that means is when somebody visits the site, it places a cookie on their browser so that it can kind of track that this person has already seen this offer and it won't show it to them again for another 30 days. You can also add a campaign ID to define the cookie that's being used for repeat control. All right, next are position settings, which I demonstrated a little bit earlier. So you can place this anywhere, regardless of whether you're using a pop-up, a slide-in, or a banner. You can place this anywhere and have it be in any part of the page that you want. Size settings has to do with the size of the modal, right? So the height is set to auto, but I could decide that I wanted this to be a little thinner. I could make it just 300 in case I'm doing something like a very small opt-in, or I could have it be full width where it goes all the way across the page. For now, we're just going to leave that at 700. The container styling has to do with this entire container right here, right? So we're saying, how do we want to style, how do we want to style this container? Okay. Not this container, but this container. How do we want to style this 700 pixel container? And you can do a number of things. You can increase the padding so that there's more space if you want to. You can add a background or you can change the color of it, right? So let's say I want the color to be, that's the border color, excuse me. I want the color to be a dark color like that. So you can choose to do that if you want. Okay, we're going to leave that as what it was. All right, and then you can set up a margin. There's the box shadow, which you can see there's a little bit of a shadow here. And then there's the overlay settings, right, which is right now set to a black with a 50% opacity. But I could change this if I wanted. I could make it white, or maybe this color or this color. You have full flexibility there, or you can make it a background image if you want to. Then target pages, where do you want this to show up? So by default, this is always going to be set up to the entire site, but you can choose anywhere on the page, any page that you want, blog pages, search pages, 404 pages, singular pages, whatever page that you want, you can choose that here. There are also exclude settings. You can target the different visitors. So I might want to have this go to all users, logged out users, administrators, editors, whatever users I want to see this pop-up. Those are the ones that will see it. And then of course, everybody's favorite, being able to target which devices this comes on, right? So right now it's set up to all, but you can choose to have it only on desktop or only on mobile. So scheduling basically allows you to schedule when this pop-up will show up, right? So you can schedule it so that it happens within a range, or if you choose, you can have it be recurring scheduling where you have a start time and a stop time and on what days this will show up, right? So this would be great for a restaurant that has offers or a business that offers on specific days. Then you could leverage this to have the pop-up or the banner or the slide in show up on those days. Then there are animation settings, basically how it comes in and how it eases out. And then the close button settings are actually pretty cool as well. So you can choose to have this outside the box or inside of the box, right? Like that. And then there is also, you can choose it to be an icon or you can make it text. So if it's text, then you can choose whatever text, you want this to be. It can be close or end or whatever it is that you want it to say. You get to be able to choose. So there's a lot of very granular customizations you can make to the pop-up now. Okay, so this is really, really nice. And then last but not least, the colors and of course the ever popular CSS class. And that covers all of the settings that you will have for your pop-up. Next, we're going to go ahead and build out one of these and configure it and set it up on our page. And we'll test out all these different settings to see how they all work on the website. Okay, so to begin, let's go ahead and create a pop-up. So which one do we want to create? We want to create this. So this is a pop-up that I created earlier. And the way this works is once the page loads, then this shows up, provides an offer, and then a button that will take you to where you can take advantage of the offer. And this pop-up has some heading and text in there, and then also has a countdown timer and then a button, and that is it. And then there's a close button here to go ahead and close the pop-up once you're done. All right, so we're gonna replicate the same exact pop-up right now to be able to see how the Kadence Conversions actually works. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to our conversion item that we're going to create, and we are going to, well, you know what I want to do, because I want everybody to really be able to follow along. So I'm going to actually go back out. Let's leave this and we'll start from the beginning. So what happens here is you're going to come to your dashboard and we're going to go to conversions and click on all conversion items. So anything that's a conversion item will be created here. And then let's go ahead and trash this, and I'm going to click on add new. When you do that, you're going to be offered a conversion type. The first one we're going to be working on is this pop-up type. So I'm going to select this one. I don't want to use any of the templates in here. I just want to start with a blank template, because one of the things you'll notice is a lot of these are opt-ins, right? But the reality of it is you can create anything as a pop-up. So we're going to take advantage of that. So I'm going to click on start with a blank template, and we're going to call this one our 50% offer. Okay, so this is our 50% offer, and what we want to start doing is we want to start styling this fully. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to this side, and if you're not seeing this, just go ahead and click in this gray area, and this will pop up for you. So once we're here, we're going to start with the launch trigger. So I'm just going to go from the top to the bottom on each setting and make my changes that way. So from the launch trigger, what I want on this one is I want this one to show up on load. Okay, so the minute the page loads, I want this to show up. Okay, so I'm done with that. Conversion settings, this is going to be a pop-up. We're going to leave it just like that. But the conversion goal is not going to be to submit a form. The conversion goal is going to be to click a button. So I'm going to click on click button. And then in here, I'm going to give it a class that I need to give that button. Okay, so let's call this class get registered. So that's our class, and we're going to assign that to the button so that when you click the button, it records it as that conversion. Then I'm going to go ahead and close this. The next one is the repeat control. Now, for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. That way we can repeatedly see this in action. But typically you would want to turn this on, and you want to set a cookie expiration, which means when somebody sees it the first time, how long before it shows it to them again if they close it, right? So if they close out of it, how long do you want them to wait before they're able to see that again? And so that's when you set this. In this case, I'm just going to turn it off, but normally you would have this on. Next, I'm going to go to the position settings. It's center and top right now, so this is perfectly fine for what I want to do because I want it to show up in the middle of the page. And then the size settings is already set to 700. Which looks fine, but I think I want this to be a little bit smaller. So let's just make this 550 so it's a little more narrow. And then the container styling. This is the container. And how do I want this to be styled? I don't want there to be a border, but I do want a border radius. And so I'm going to put a border radius of 12 all around. Okay. So now we have this nice border radius going on. And then the padding is already set to 20. And I'm going to actually set this to 0 because I'm going to use some rows in there. And the rows are going to basically provide the padding for me. So I will set this to 0. The margin is fine. The box shadow is fine. The overlay settings, which is this right here, we're just going to leave that as is. Target pages, we want this on the front page. And we're not going to exclude any, we don't need to exclude anything because we've already selected where it's going to be included on. Target visitors, I'm going to leave alone. Target devices, I'm going to leave that alone. We're not going to schedule anything. But the animation, I do want the animation to be kind of cool. So we'll do a zoom in, and on close, we'll do a zoom out. And then the close button, I want that close button to be inside of the box, and we'll just put it inside for now. We'll do some more customization later. And all this looks good. So we are done setting up our initial settings. Now we're going to go ahead and build the actual pop-up, meaning adding the content to it, adding the button, and then launching it to the site. So let's go ahead and do that right now. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to now add our blocks. So I'm going to click right in here. I'm going to do a /, and I want the row layout. I'm going to pick a 1-column row. And then within this 1-column row, I'm going to also add a second inner row. And that is also going to be 1 column. And then within that, we're going to add our text, which is going to be the advanced heading. And that text will say, get early bird pricing. Okay, and we want this to be centered right in there in the middle. And then right below this, we're going to add another heading. Okay, so click here, advanced heading, and we want this one to say 50% off. I'm going to push that to the center as well. And we want the 50% off to be slightly larger. So I'm going to come here to the text settings, and I will set this to be 45 pixels. Actually, let's make it 55 so it's really big. There we go. All right, and then we can also make this bold. Okay, so get early bird pricing, 50% off. Now we're going to put the coupon code below this. So go ahead and add another block, / I can select the advanced heading. And here we're going to say use code half, whoops, let's make it half off now. Okay, and we'll make this a little bit smaller. So I'm going to select this, go to the text settings by clicking this right here, typography settings, and we'll make this smaller. Let's make this 36 pixels. We'll also center it. Okay, that looks pretty good. Then the next thing that we need is we need a button here, and we also need our countdown timer. So let's go ahead and add the countdown timer first. And so just click on the plus sign, search for countdown. Okay, now you must have Kadence Blocks Pro to use this. So we're going to come here, center the text, and we'll style this a little bit later. And then next, we're going to add a button. So let's get the advanced button right there, and we'll say get registered. Okay, so now we have the sort of framework for our pop-up. Now we need to style this and make it look nice. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to style the background. And to help out with this, we can open up our list tree here so we can see everything that's happening. We can see all our items in a nice tree. So I'm going to go to the outermost row here, and on the outermost row, I'm going to change the color. So we're going to go click on that row over here on the right, select the background settings, click on the background color, and go ahead and select this color right here, or maybe we want it a little bit darker. So this is good. So we'll take the strongest text color here. Okay. Then the next thing that we need to do is now we can no longer see our text. So let's make our text visible. So we're going to come here and you're going to look for the first heading, which is this one right here, advanced heading. And over here with the heading color, this is going to be white color. So the hex code for that is just 6 Fs. And we want to do the same thing for each one. Excellent. So we also want to do a couple of things here. I want the use code to be a different color. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that, okay, with my mouse. And then over here with where they have a small arrow, there are additional options here. We're going to select highlight. Now this is now highlighted. Now I don't want the color to be orange. I want the color to be our brand colors, right? So we're going to come over here to the right and we're going to look for highlight settings, which is right over here. Open it up and select that color, and we want this bright color right here. Okay. So this is really good because you can actually draw attention to a certain area just by using that. Okay. The next thing that we're going to style is our countdown timer. So I'm going to go ahead and select the countdown timer, or you can just click on it right here. And then over here to the right, we'll leave this as a fictional time and date for everything. So this is totally fine. And we're going to go to the countdown layout, and we want it centered, which it is. We want it to be in the block format, which means it looks like this and everything is kind of on top of each other, which is great. And then we're going to go down to count item settings. And here we want to give it a background. And the background that we want to give it is this yellow color so that we can see the text. And we want to give it a border color. And let's give it the same border color, just make it a little bit thicker and slightly lighter, just like that. And then the border width will be 2 pixels. Okay. And then the border radius for this is going to be 12 pixels. All right. And we're going to give it a padding of 20 pixels. All right. So it's nice and big and we can see it. Maybe 20 pixels is too big. Let's go with 16 pixels. There we go. All right, and then the number settings. So the number settings, we want a very dark color so that you can see it very well. And then the other thing that we also want is we want this to be bolded. So we're going to come here to the font family, and let's just make this Montserrat. Okay, and the font weight here is going to be bold, just like that. Excellent. All right, and everything looks good so far. So next thing we need to do here, need to style here, excuse me, is I want to put some spacing between these numbers because they look really, really close together. A really good way to be able to do that is, I believe up here, you can enable a divider between these two. Okay, so we're going to enable the divider and we're going to enable a 00 number format. Good. And now we have this really nice spacing and the format looks really, really good. So next thing that we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and add settings for our button. So I'm going to select the button. I'm going to go over here to the right, open up button 1 settings. And what I want to do here is I want the get register to be a little bit larger. So let's make that 24 pixels. There we go. And then the color settings, the color for the button is going to be white text. So 6 Fs for white text. And then the background is going to be our brand color here. So that's going to be our background. The border color will also match that background. And then for hover, the text color is going to remain white. And the background color, though, will be this color. So it will be the second color in our brand here. And then the hover border color will match. Okay, so when we hover over this, this is what we're going to see. Looks really good. Button margin, we're going to give it some room here, so 20 pixels so that we have some nice spacing. And you can see now our pop-up is coming together really nice. Okay. Now the next thing that I want to do here is I want this to be a rounded corner. And because we rounded the container, but we added a row here, we need to add roundings to the row. So I'm going to select this outermost row again. We're going to go over here to the right, and under border settings, you will see the border radius. Just go ahead and type in 12 to go ahead and match the container. And now we have this setting right here. And I know you're seeing this right here, but this is just Gutenberg. There's just an extra spacing here. When we look at it on the front end, it's not going to look like that. Okay. The next thing we want to do is I kind of want my button to match my my countdown timer here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the button. I want the border radius to match. So I'm going to come here, select the button. We're going to open up button 1 settings, and we're going to look for the border radius setting, which is right here. And we're going to set that to 12. Okay. So now this looks pretty good. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and check to see if this will work for us on the front end. So I'm going to go ahead and save my work. Okay. So now that that is saved, there is one thing that I need to do because we already have one that's showing up, right? So we have this one that's showing up, and I intentionally made the other one a little bit different so we can see the two differently. So let's go ahead and refresh this here. So I have this one already showing up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this one off and turn our new one on. Okay. Before I do that though, let's go ahead and style our close button so that it's a little bit more visible. So we're going to come here to the close button, and I want to give it a close color. I want that to be a little lighter like that. And we'll match the hover for the same. And then I want the background to be just a subtle rounding, a little more subtle. It's too subtle. There we go. That looks pretty good. Excellent. And that looks good. So, and then I want the size to be a little bit smaller. It's kind of a big icon there. So let's just make this 18 pixels. All right, excellent. Okay, so now we're ready. I'm gonna go ahead and update this, and then I'm going to exit out of it. Whoops, make sure we update. Okay, exit out of it. And we're gonna go, this is the one we just created. This is the one that's showing up right now. I'm gonna go ahead and edit this one. And I'm going to remove its launch trigger. So I'm going to say none on this one, update. Okay. And we're going to go back to our other one, this 50% offer. Click on edit. And I want to add one more piece of text. So right here, just click right here, hit the enter key, and type in expires. Actually, let's use an advanced heading for this. We'll make it a paragraph, and we'll say expires in. We'll go ahead and center this. We'll change the color to white so we can see it. And we'll make the size a little bit bigger. Let's go with 20. All right, that looks great. So let's go ahead and update this. And now when we visit our site, close this one out, and we refresh, our new pop-up shows up, and that looks really good. Okay, now one of the things we could do, we could actually create more of an overlay on the background so that this pops more, and we can add a border so that we can see it some more. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go here, back to the pop-up. We're going to select the outermost container, or if you want, open up the link tree here, select the row layout. Over here on the right, go to border settings, click on border color. And for the border, I want it a little bit lighter. And we'll give it a 2-pixel border, just like that. And then this overlay right here, I want this to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to select this, and we're going to go to overlay settings, and this is at 0.5. So let's use one of our brand colors, which is a little bit more purple, and we're going to increase this to about 75. This maybe 80. There we go. We'll update this. And now when we go back to our page, close this out. Let's refresh. And here we go. There it is. Okay, so it's a little bit darker. Oops, refresh it again. Oh, you know what we didn't do? I don't think we updated this, so let's update. All right, now it's updated. Let's go back, refresh. There we go. Okay, so now we can see it a little bit better, and now people can click through. And once you click through, it will take you to the next page. So that works out very well. Now, one thing I do want everybody to keep in mind when it comes to this, as of now, this is in beta, right? So this probably still has quite a few bugs, and they're probably ironing things out, but I'm just giving you a preview of what's coming. So, you know, when you go to conversions over here, the idea is that when I click that button, the idea is that when you come over here to the dashboard, you'll be able to see some data and some metrics as to what happened, you know, how many conversions happened, how many people clicked the button, and so on. So I know they're still probably working on all this because this isn't very much data, but you can see, you can get data on all your different pop-ups that you have, right? So you can see what has happened, you know, in the last 7 days, 30 days, or 90 days. So just keep that in mind, that if you're testing this out, this is still in beta, and there are going to be some things that are not probably going to work the way that you're thinking. For instance, I can tell you right now, this close button, right? When I'm clicking on it, it's not closing, right? When I click off, it does, but it's not closing, and that's because I built this using a row, and I know this close button is behind that row, so we're not able to get to it. So we'll probably need some kind of Z index on this close button so that it's on top of everything else. But I'm sure they'll get to that, and they'll fix it. So this is in beta. So just if you're testing this out and things are not quite working the way you're wanting them to work, don't worry about it. These guys will take care of it. This Kadence always produces a good product. Okay, with that being said, we're going to create one more pop-up, and this is the exit intent pop-up. Actually, we're going to create two more. It'll happen really quickly. We'll create two more, the exit intent and the slide in banner. I think those are worth taking a look at and seeing what's possible, and then we'll wrap up this video, and we'll look forward to what else Kadence comes out with next. So let's go ahead and go back to the dashboard, and let's look at creating the exit intent pop-up. So an exit intent pop-up is a pop-up that comes up on your site when someone is attempting to leave the page. So say, for instance, we went to this site, and then we click on get registered, and here we are at the registration, and let's say this is where you would basically buy a ticket. But let's say I change my mind and decide to move on or close out the page. So as soon as my mouse moves up to the tab to close up the page, then another pop-up shows up, and this time it's telling me it has an offer for me, right? So this is a discounted offer, and the pricing has changed, right? So now it's offering me 10%, an additional 10% off. So this is a way to be able to pull people back. Sometimes people will put an opt-in in here or some kind of special offer. So we're going to recreate this exact pop-up right here. So this is one that I created before just to demonstrate it. But now we're going to get rid of this, and we're now going to recreate this entire thing, and I'll show you exactly how I did it. Okay, so what we're going to do to create that exit intent pop-up is we're going to gather our materials. So I'm going to go to the site here, and we're going to click on the registration page. And what I want to do is I want to grab this pricing table, because in the exit intent pop-up, I want to show another pricing table that has discounted prices by 10%. So to do that, just click on edit page if you're in this template, and we're going to scroll down to the pricing table section right here. And I just want the pricing table, so I'm going to select this row that has a pricing table. Click on the options icon here, and we're going to click on copy, and that will copy it to the clipboard. Then we're going to go back to the dashboard. We're going to go to conversions, all conversions, and click on add new. All right, so here we are, and we're going to select pop-up again. That's the one we want to use, and we want to start with a blank one. Let's close this out, and we're going to call this new discount offer. And just like last time, we're going to go ahead and set up all our settings first. So I'm going to go to the launch triggers here. I want this to be an exit intent. Conversion settings here, we're going to make this a click button, and for this one, we're going to call this discounts register. Let's call it that. And then this is just for the button, so we can count the conversion. For the repeat control, for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to turn that off. Positioning settings, I want this to actually be, the center is fine and the vertical line top is fine. We'll set this up later. Now size settings, because I want this to take up most of the page, what we're going to do here is we're going to set this to a maximum width. Actually, sorry, we're going to set this up to about 1200. Let's make this 1200 pixels in size. And here in the position settings, center is fine, vertical align, yeah, we definitely want this at the top. And the height, we'll leave that at auto. Container styling, we're going to make the container one of our colors here. So let's make it dark like that. That looks good. Maybe a little darker. There we go. Dark like so. And everything else we're going to leave the same. So all this looks fine. The target page that we want this time is we want it to be on a single page, and the page we're looking for is an individual page, and it allows us to select what page it's going to go on. So it's going to go on the registration page. Select. And now that that's done, we are all set with that. Next, we need to just basically build out our pop-up. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to do a / and I want an advanced heading, and we're going to change the color of this heading to white. And we're going to say wait, one time only discount offer. Okay, and then I want to highlight the weight, so I'm going to highlight that and click on the more options here, select highlight, and then we're going to come here to the highlight settings, and we're going to change that color to our brand color. And then I also want to highlight discount offer as well, so just go ahead and highlight it with your mouse and select highlight. Then the other thing we want to do is we want to center this, and that looks great. Then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to duplicate this, and we're going to basically present the offer. So take 10% off event ticket pricing. And on this one, it looks like the entire thing is highlighted. Is that what's happening here? Yes. So let's remove that highlight. And let's only highlight the 10% off. There we go. Then the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to tell them that this is only available one time only. So let's duplicate that, and we'll change this to a paragraph, and we'll say this offer is only available one time only. Once you leave this page, you will not see it again. Okay, so creating some scarcity there. All right, excellent. So now if you really actually wanted to enforce that, where it only shows up one time, if you select the conversion item here, so highlight anywhere in the gray area, and you click on conversion settings, repeat control. So this is where enabling a repeat control becomes critical for you, right? So on close, you could say the cookie will expire and just make this a really long time. Maybe past the date of the event, okay? But that's just a little extra tip there. Okay, so the next thing we need to do now is we need to add our pricing table with the 10% off. So remember, we already copied it to the clipboard. So I'm gonna come here, just gonna click right below the last text that we put in here, and I'm just gonna press Command V or Control V for those of you who may be using a PC. Okay, so here's our pricing table. All right, and all we need to do now is we just need to change the pricing. You can do this any number of ways. I just like to put it below, so I'll just come here to this pricing here, take 10% off, and we're just going to duplicate that. And then on the one that we duplicated, we're going to highlight this, and we're going to put a strike through right through it, so this price is no longer valid. And then you can also change the color slightly to just maybe differentiate it from the one on top. And then here we're going to change this to $89, and we're just going to repeat that for all the other ones. Okay, so actually 10% off puts us at 225. Oops. There we go. Okay, so now we've put that on there, and then you can add some additional text. So let's just grab this text. We're going to duplicate it, and we're going to say was and move that down. And we'll do the same thing here. Duplicate was, move that down, and come here, select it, duplicate, change the text, was, move that down. So we're saying now the standard pass is $89, was $99, okay? And we're pretty much done with our pop-up now, okay? So this looks really good. So just open this back up, and now all we really need to do is publish this. And then let's check it out. So we'll go back to our event registration page. Here's our early bird pricing pop-up. Click on get registered. It takes you to the page, and as you scroll down, and if the person decides not to take action now and they move towards the exit or try to close the page, then our pop-up shows up, and that's an exit intent. So my intent was to exit, and as I was exiting, I was presented with a new offer. And then the idea is hopefully the person goes ahead and purchases the ticket at the new discounted rate. Okay, and that is how you do an exit intent. And for our last one, we're just going to do a simple banner. This will be the fastest one we ever create, and then we'll wrap up our tutorial. Okay, so let's go ahead and create the last type of pop-up that the Kadence conversion offers, which is the banner slide in. So we're going to come here back to the dashboard, go to conversions, and then click on all conversion items and click on add new. And then from here, we're going to select banner. And these are the options that we can select. You can start a blank one, or you can create one of your own. Or you can select one of the templates. So let's go ahead and select one of the templates. To make this easier and quicker, we're going to select this one right here, and this one we're going to call this top banner offer. And this one has a countdown timer, some text, and a buy now button. So let's just make this more relevant to our website, which is an event page. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select the actual container itself here, so which is a row. And now that I've selected that, I'm going to come over here to the background overlay settings. And I'm going to change this color. So I want this to be our darker color here, and the second color, we're going to have that be one of our brand colors. So, and we're going to keep it just like that. We're going to configure the buy now to go to the registration page. So just select it, and then the button link, we're going to search for our page, which is this one right here. I'm going to select that, and now that that's all set up. And then the only thing left to do is to configure the countdown timer so that it counts down correctly. So this is set to a past date. Let's make it a current date. So we'll make this, there we go, make this the 7th. So now it's 22 hours, 43 minutes to get and we'll change this text to say early bird tickets. So this is actually so if you select this on the countdown timer, we come down here, countdown layout, right here is where you can change that content. So time is running out to get the early bird tickets. Awesome. And that is really all there is to it. This is probably the easiest one to create. So the only thing left to do now is the launch trigger. Okay, so we want to make this a time delay. So we're going to say show this in about 2 seconds after the page has loaded. Conversion settings again. So right here we have a conversion button, right? So this is actually defining what is going to count as a conversion. And this button, if you select this button here, we scroll down, go to advanced. This is where you will put the conversion button. All right, awesome. And then the next thing that we need to do here is we need to tell it what pages to show up. So I'm going to have this show up on every page. So we're going to leave this as an entire site. Okay. And now we're going to publish this, and then let's check it out on the front end. So when we go to the website, and we'll wait 2 seconds, there it is. In about 2 seconds, it comes in. One of the things you'll notice is that it pushes the website down for about the height of the actual slide in. And there's our call to action right there. So I can now go ahead and click this, and it'll take me to the registration page. And there it is showing up again. So maybe one of the things I could do is I could exclude it from the registration page. So let me show you how to do that. So there's our exit intent. So let's go to the dashboard. It's going to be a highly converting events page. Go to the dashboard, and we're going to go to conversions. And the one we're looking for is the top banner offer. Click on edit and click on the conversion item. So you can just click anywhere here to allow the conversion item to show up. Or if it's just showing this, just click on the block and it'll show everything. Then we come here, and where it says target pages, there's an exclude settings option. We're going to click on that, and we're going to say hide on, and we want to find that particular page. So it's a page, so we look for single pages, and we want individually select items, and we want to exclude this registration page. Click update, and now when we visit the site, so here we are on the home page. 2 seconds, this shows up. Click on buy now, takes you to the registration page, and then you don't see that anymore, right? So it's not going to come in on this page because this page is excluded. And now if I try to leave the page, my exit intent pop-up will show up to help me convert that visitor. And that is how the slide in banner for the conversions work. All right. And then the other thing is when you come to conversions here and you click on the dashboard, this is where you'll see all the conversions that are happening with everything that you're doing. So you can see over here, we have it counting converted 4 times, 1 time. This is how many times, the blue represents how many times it's been viewed. for each one, and then you can select it by actual offer. So on each offer, so the top banner offer, we can see here, converted 4 times, was viewed 3 times, and so on. So this is actually going to be a really cool tool for Kadence because this is specifically focused on conversions and pop-ups. Whereas before, if we wanted a pop-up, we had to do that through Kadence Elements. And if you want to see how we've done that, I do have videos. I will link a video where I go over elements and creating pop-ups with modals in Elements in Kadence. Okay. And with that, I am going to end it here. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. Hey, if you are new to the channel and you have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And if you enjoyed this tutorial, please give this tutorial a like so that it will help us with the YouTube algorithm so more people can see this tutorial. And for those of you who have subscribed, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And of course, I welcome any comments or any questions. I will respond to any comments that are posted on these videos or any other videos, or any questions to the best of my ability. And with that, I'm going to sign off, and I will see you in the next video.